Coach, back in about December, I remember you talked about feeling like the team didn't really have a clear kind of leader in the locker room. And I just wondered when you saw that change and who you feel like has stepped up the most.
Yeah, I think that's a great question, Christine. I think a lot of guys have stepped up. I think that, certainly Jalen Williams has kind of been a leader since the beginning of this team assembling together. But I do think that along with JD Note has been a great leader for us. I think Trey Wade, when his minutes increased and he became a starter, it allowed him to have a bigger voice and a bigger imprint on the team. It's very difficult to be a team leader if you have a bit role. But I think when his role changed, his voice changed, credibility in the locker room changed with an expanded role. So I think those three guys in particular, two of them are our best verbal communicators in Jay Will and Trey Wade. And then in his own way, Stanley has shown leadership as well. So I think that with comfort, with both Stanley Amude and Trey Wade, it's helped us from a leadership standpoint.
And then we've talked recently about kind of not looking too far back and not having these kind of hangover games. But I also wondered about, now that you've got this kind of tough stretch coming up, how you frame that with preparing for future games, but not looking too far ahead.
Yeah, we're only worried about, one game, one team, and that's Tennessee. It's not the player's responsibility to look at, the second, third, fourth, fifth game in this 5-game segment. It's my responsibility and solely my responsibility to get the guys ready, beyond just one game. Our assistant coaches are all focused on their prep schedules. I'm only worried about one game, and we understand that, a lot of the media outlets are saying we have the hardest schedule in the entire country remaining, but with that also allows us opportunities. And it also, quite frankly, puts us in a position where when you play that tough of a schedule, it's hard to slip drastically as well because of the strength of schedule. So I like where we're at. I like that we're going to be challenged these last 5 games. We understand that we've done an incredible job late stages of the season to be able to win whatever it is, 10 out of 11, and the one loss being a road game by 1 point. We're playing as good as basketball as any team in the entire country, bar none, up to this point. And now we understand there's not a lot of teams in any league are going to have to play the competition that we have to play. So I like where we're at. It'll give us an opportunity going into the SEC conference tournament to understand some of our holes, because some of these teams coming up, they're going to expose holes that you might have, and it'll allow us to continue to get better as well.
Thank you.
Alyssa?
Feel like Nate can't find my controls. Okay. Hey, Coach. Congratulations on win 20 for the season. That's 3 years in a row now. You've hit that 20-win mark with 3 very different teams with very different identities. And so just kind of talk about that accomplishment. Jalen talked about how you're so good at coaching the little things, just helping get this team to hit that mark for 3 years in a row.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, that's a goal since I've become a college coach was to try to win 20 plus games, not just 20, but how do you get over 20 every year? I think that, the hardest thing when you coach is always consistency. Anybody can have a good year every now and then, or every third year. That's not really what it's about. It's about how do you have a consistent approach every single year and win at a high level. And we have had, in the 3 years here, we've had a different identity every year. But I think that we've also grown each year. And when you get into college coaching, you understand there's a lot of 4-year cycles, even though there's a lot of transfers and stuff. And I think we're a more well-rounded program today than we were last year. And we were certainly better in year 2 than we were in year 1. And feel like our position going into the future is as good as it's been since I've been here. So it doesn't mean you're going to win more games or advance further. It just in the totality of where our program's at, from attendance, from enthusiasm, statewide to a national brand. It's not just about, where we are from a winning or how many games we've won, but right now, nationally, we've made great strides in 3 years in a program that already, had great respect nationally. But right now, people know who we are. They know our brand and style of play, and know kind of what we represent when we hit the floor.
Thank you.
Scotty?
Eric, Jalen obviously does a lot of things for you guys that are really valuable. Talk about that all the time. I'm curious how important you believe maybe he's been to the 3-point success that you guys have had, just, strictly from a passing standpoint.
Yeah, I think because he can play out on the floor. And last night at halftime, we made a real conscious effort to have him slip screens more and have him roll more, because we and he are really comfortable with him picking and popping and then being a distributor. But he had some really big time rolls and big time slips to the rim last night that I thought opened up a lot of stuff for Stanley's 3 balls in the corners, and even one of Devo's 3s as well. So his game just keeps evolving, Scotty, in so many different ways, but we need him to play well in order for us to win games for sure.
This might be a little pointed, but why do you think guys have a tendency to shoot a good clip from 3 off passes from Jalen?
If I had to paraphrase it, on time, on target. He doesn't throw passes he doesn't throw balls. He throws strikes. And, some players throw balls. I mean, they're out of the strike zone. They're out of the shooting pocket. He does not do that. We even have not just we, there's a lot of guards in college basketball that, on time, on target. And then his passes have the proper backspin on the ball too. A lot of guys throw knuckleballs. It's really freaking hard to shoot a knuckleball that's thrown at your knees. I mean, Ray Allen can't knock down those 3 balls that are knuckleballs and they're thrown to the side of the ear or at the kneecaps, shoulders to hip right in that shooting pocket, which I think is really, really important.
Lastly, you mentioned last night that you're really pleased with where the team's mental up is right now. Maybe how have you seen that shift for the better, maybe over the last 5-6 weeks compared to when you guys were struggling a bit?
Yeah, I mean, I'll take part of the blame too. Not part of it. I'll take the blame. I mean, I was searching for rotations, and then just got to the point where this is going to be our core group, and we're going to roll with them and allow them to play with great freedom, allow them to play with great confidence. I mean, you go back and watch our Vanderbilt game and some of the earlier, I mean, we're just a completely and utterly different team. And a lot of that's roles as well. And we feel like right now the guys are in a great comfort zone, both on the floor, leadership wise. Our locker room's in a great mental state. After wins, guys are really enjoying it. And that's that's really important as well.
Hutch?
Yeah, Coach, I know Tony's been a really consistent guy for you all season, pretty much.
Hey, Hutch, I don't mean to interrupt. Bob, are you wearing a shirt that I think you're wearing?
Yeah, I'm trying to get an NIL deal.
I saw you tagged him on Twitter. Sorry, Hutch. We'll go right back to you, man. I apologize.
No, you're
no
good.
disrespect, Hutch. For some reason in my screen, Bob's shirt just kind of jumped out at me. Sorry, Hutch. I'm sorry, man.
I understand. I'm curious about Tony. The last couple of games hasn't been kind of what we've come to expect out of him. What are you seeing from him, and how does he need to get back on track?
Yeah, I mean, obviously he struggled against Alabama finishing at the rim, but his defense was awesome against Alabama. I mean, I thought he did as good a job as I've seen anybody do on Shackelford. Last night, just one of those nights where mentally, every time he stepped on the floor, he fouled the guy. I mean, I haven't seen that in college I've had a couple NBA guys where they walk out there and they just foul and foul and foul. And then, they don't have to play that night. That was before, what do we call it? Load management took place. But I just think it was one of those nights where he just, the whistle was coming at him at all angles.
And I'm also curious what your thoughts are on this Tennessee team. It looked like they handled Kentucky pretty well. And what are your thoughts on them? What do they do well?
They do a lot of things well. First of all, they're one of the only teams that you'll see that plays 3-point guards at stretches or even to close games out. Number one, Chandler's as fast as any player in college basketball. He can shoot a three. He can dribble drive. He's a high steal player. They do a great job jumping passing lanes. Number 5, Ziegler's a guy that completely was under recruited. Coach Barnes and his staff did an awesome job evaluating him. I actually saw him play a game against Nick Smith, and kind of was looking at the program to see who he was, but he's a tough kid who really, really competes. So those two guys at 5'9" and 6 foot are dynamic players. They're fast. Vescovi, 25, lefty, can shoot the ball, now playing the 2-3, used to start at the point guard. Powell started at Auburn last year as a point guard, now playing the off guard. So they actually have 4 players who have point guard experience in the SEC. 2 of them freshmen that have played the point this year, and then 2 of them that played the point guard, one at Auburn and one at Tennessee. James, number 30, a switchable player. A guy who shoots a lot of threes, but can also offensive rebound. Fulkerson has given us absolute nightmares in the post at times. Got a spin game, an isolation game on the elbow. I don't know how old he is, but he's certainly been in the league a lot longer than I have. So he's got immense experience. He might have more experience than our entire roster put together. So a really, really good team and a really, really well-coached basketball team. I think Rick Barnes has been one of the great college coaches since he's been in the college game. And certainly right now, I don't think that anybody in college basketball does a better job coaching his roster than Coach Barnes does.
Nate?
I think pretty well everything got answered, but I was going to ask, about Vescovi, just kind of what problems does he give you specifically?
Well, obviously one of the best 3-point shooters, Nate, in all of college basketball, one of the premier 3-point shooters in the SEC. He'll take a lot of threes. A lot of them are catch and shoot, so you can't give him any airspace. You've got to locate him in transition as quick as possible. Early on, we forced him right. A few years ago, we really jumped on his left hand. He's much improved dribbling the ball with his right hand. We're going to have to play him much more squared up than we did, a year ago. Great toughness. A guy that, he'll fly in there and get an offensive rebound from the weak side, but you can't give him airspace on his 3-point shot or it becomes a very, very long night. You've got to get a high hand on him on your closeouts, and a guy that constantly moves and knows how to read screens that are set for him, whether he flattens out the screen on a fade. He does that really, really well. They're players. You can tell how well they're coached when there's down screens set, because sometimes they'll curl, some of their personnel will curl, some of them will fade off screens based on how the defense is playing them. So we're going to have to mix things up on our defensive coverage. You can't give them a steady diet because they're so well coached.
Thank you.
Curtis?
Coach, what have you seen from Tennessee on the defensive end that stands out? It looks like they're top 5 or so in the country in adjusted defensive efficiency.
Well, they steal the ball a lot, number one, Curtis. That's, if you turn the ball over, it's not going to be a fun night. You can't give up live ball turnovers to them. The 2 guards they're just basketball thieves back there. They back tip a lot. So in other words, if you get by them, they'll back tip. And then they got guys that jump in passing lanes as well. So if you go by them, you've got to keep the ball in the center of your body. You can't, if you're dribbling by with your right hand, you can't keep it on the side of your right body, or they're going to back tip it, or vice versa. If you dribble drive to the left, they'll back tip it. So you got to keep that ball in the front of your body so that it eliminates back tips. So a little technique like that, we're going to have to spend, because we're not practicing today, we're going to have to spend time working on some of those little nuances. If I throw a pass to Mike Kaywood, Mike's got to jump to the ball. He can't wait on it. So that's called shorten the pass. We've got to shorten the pass on all of our passes, whether it's a post up, whether it's an entry pass, or they'll jump in the passing lanes. And then they're just so fundamentally sound. They will mix in a little 1-3-1 zone as well. So you've got to recognize when they throw that at you as well.
Thank you.
Bob, finishes up, please.
Yeah, Eric, I think Fulkerson's 34, but I need to look that up. Hey, going back to last night, if you guys played Mizzou more often, Trey might be an All-American. He does all the intangible things, but he scored 29 against Mizzou this year. When he scores, how big a bonus is that?
Well, it's huge. And he needed to have a big night because he was starting to earn a new nickname about box score, was if he didn't, jump up there and do something. But he just kind of negates his man, much like Justin Smith. Whoever Justin guarded, we knew that guy was going to be held well below his average. That's what's happening with Trey. And now you add in the fact that I thought he did a great job pounding the backboards. His thing every time out is, well, coach, I blocked out my man. And he's right. Like, his man never was rebounding, but I said, well, you got to block out and rebound. Like, we can't have four guys blocking out and the ball's bouncing. Somebody's got to go get it. And I thought he did a good job blocking out Bob and pursuing the basketball. And we need him to do that. And I thought he was much more aggressive for whatever reason against Coach Martin's team. He took the first four shots, of the game, and it wasn't like we were calling plays for him. And I think he came out with an aggressive mindset, which really helps us.
So his nickname was going to be box score, or what was his? Okay.
Or non-box score, but that doesn't really make sense. So
yeah. And then Stanley's obviously been scoring really well. We talked about, Scotty asked you about the other day how well he's scored since the Ole Miss game, and Scotty tweeted this shot chart. He's like Scottsboro or Scottboro website or something now, like Ken Pop or whatever. But what do you think on Stanley? He's got that sweet spot over there. Just what you thought about his scoring surge?
Bob, is this directed at me or Scotty?
I'm sorry, it's directed at you. I was just trying to throw Scotty a bone there.
The magic is in the work. And what I mean by that is, one of the things that becomes new or is foreign to some guys is how much time you have to invest away from the coaching staff and work on your craft. He turned a switch about maybe 5 weeks ago, and he's in here all the time shooting. And, all we can do is give our players examples. Hey, call Mason Jones, ask him how much time he spent on his own. Hey, call Moses Moody and find out how focused he was in the off season or in season and how much shooting. And then we can give examples of NBA players, whether it's Gilbert Arenas coming back and shooting for 3 hours the night after a game, and Stan slowly but surely. And that's why he's playing well, because he's getting so many reps up shooting the three that it's hard not to really improve. And then you start building your confidence up. And right now, he's as confident offensive player as we've had here in 3 years.
You said slowly but surely, but then you didn't finish the sentence. What was the rest of that?
I don't know.
You said he slowly but surely, then you shifted gears.
I guess that means early on, he wasn't shooting on his own quite as much as we would have hoped. Does that make sense with slowly but surely, or no? I don't know. My mom used that phrase all the time. I don't know what the heck it means.
Okay. Gradually, probably.
There you go. Gradually.
Yeah. And I just got one more, the crowd was so epic, for the Auburn game. This is your first home game since then. You're playing another top, 20 team and obviously a quality program in Tennessee. Just kind of what are you expecting from the crowd? And could it, duplicate what the Auburn crowd was like, or is that just not realistic?
Wow. Well, first of all, everybody's going to be dressed in red, including our players. They'll have red uniforms as well. And we've already cleared that with the league and Tennessee. And Bob, you're asking if what was your exact words? Is it unrealistic?
No, I said, is it realistic? Is it realistic to think the crowd could match what it was like for the Auburn?
I think the crowd is going to supersede what we saw against Auburn. That's what I think. And I really do believe that. I understand that the number one team in the country at the time was coming in, but right now we have 2 ranked teams. They just beat Kentucky. I think everybody that came to the Auburn game left excited, and I hope they were saying, like, how can I experience that again? Well, guess what, everybody? You can experience it again. Just show up to Bud Walton for the Tennessee game on Saturday, and let's have some fun. Bring your energy, enthusiasm, and let's rock Bud Walton again. Get that message out there, Bob.
Okay. I just got one more. I don't know if you saw this on Twitter. I'm not even sure who posted the photo, but there's a picture of you during the game and you're looking kind of intense. And then Danielle's behind you and she's looking like as intense as you are. I was wondering, did you see that photo? And do you have any idea, was she pissed at the ref or was, I don't know, just something? Do you have any idea what was going on there?
At one point, I heard her yell, V5 up, run V5 up for Jalen. So I don't know if she's trying to call plays now or what, but I did see that picture. I did tweet it out. You got to read my Twitter more, Bob, because I tweeted it out last
follow
night.
you. That's probably where I saw it.
Okay.
I mean, but people were commenting like you didn't take the garbage out, you left the toilet seat up, or you did all these things, I guess, would tick off wives.
No, if Danielle was mad at me, she would not have been in Columbia last night. I promise you that. And the door would have been locked when I got home at 1:30 a.m. or whenever we landed. I would have been out in the pool house. She don't play, man. She definitely would not have gotten on that plane if she was mad at me. And I do the garbage every single night and the laundry. She's never touched laundry since we've been married. I'm out. Have a good day. See you Saturday.